Hello everybody, this is Martin again. This is the second half of the videos provided to learn to install the software that is needed to communicate with your Redline embroidery machine 1501. I'm ready to go on this computer. As you can see, what we are going to do first, I made a list I should say, of the steps that we need to do to complete the installation. This video assumes that you already connected your embroidery machines with an Ethernet cable to a small hub or switch, and that you have already set up the IP address and gateway, as well as a MAC address on the embroidery machine. If you haven't done so, I'm going to quickly show you how you could obtain the information that you need before you even get started. And I'm going to click here. I'm going to type CMD, just like that, to open up the command box on Windows. I'm going to zoom to here so you could appreciate a little bit better what I'm doing. On here, I'm going to type ipconfig, just like that. By doing so, I'm going to obtain the information needed to set up my Redline embroidery machine. This item here, the very third item in the list here, is the IP address for the computer that I'm working on right now, which is 192.168.0.171, the subnet mask, and the default gateway. These are the three numbers that you need to be aware of. So you need to write them down, and we are going to proceed from here. I already set up my machines. This is now the third or fourth computer that I'm running the installation on because I wanted to experiment with it. So I am familiar with the numbers that I use for my embroidery machines. Once you have this information, you could use an IP address for your embroidery machine other than 171. So in this case, you could use, I'm going to give an example, use 189 for mine. So I'd use 192.168.0.189 for my embroidery machine. Same subnet mask, same default gateway, and I created a random MAC address. And it's basically a 12-digit random number starting with 2 zeros. So in my case, I used 00 FFF 00 FFFFF, and I got 12 digits. That's the random MAC address for the unit. Okay, so now when we got that information, I'm going to proceed. And again, this is assuming that you already set up your machines with this information. On my previous video, I showed how we did that on the machines. I'm going to now. Basically, that's my step one. Download the files from Doug and Jesse at Advantage Inc. Then I'm going to get the information from that computer where I'm going to be installing the software, and I use the ipconfig command to get the information, the IP addresses. Then I set up the machines with the embroidery machines, that is, with the IP address. I put an machine number, an IP address, a subnet, a gateway, and a MAC address. Those are the 4 items I need to do. In addition to that, after I've done that, I'm going to now, which is the part where I am now, like I said, in the previous video I did this, I'm going to grab the software that was provided to me by the guys Doug and Jesse, and I'm going to bring him to my desktop here. Let me pull him off from the Alright, so basically once you get these files here, there are going to be 2 components. The main component is the server. The server manages all the information back and forth from communicates with the embroidery machines, and the client communicates with the server. So it acts like a in-between between the items. You'll be able to appreciate this once I show you what I'm trying to do here. So now that I've downloaded the software, I'm going to open up the folder here, and these are the components. the server, which is the EMBnet server single, and the client, EMBnet client. The client, they're both installed on this computer, so this computer acts as a server, but it also is the client. And to get started, I'm going to go double click on my EMB server single. I'm going to select setup here, and I'm going to run as administrator. It tells me that it will install the Microsoft SQL Express 2008 Express, which is an older version, but it works relatively well. It does not work with Windows 10. I've done it with Windows 10 and it did not like it very much. So you have to stay on Windows 7 and below if you're attempting to do it on a Windows 10 machine, unless you know something that I don't. I ran this and I believe that it has to do with the Microsoft SQL server that was provided for free. So now we are running the server installation first, as you can see. This process, it does the installation of the SQL and then it does the net frame. So there are two relatively, I want to say large, but they're not large in today's day and age of, in comparison to some of the other softwares out there, but they do take a little bit of room. One is the SQL and then the net framework. But it does it all for you, so you don't really have to do anything other than watch the installation complete and hit next, and then do the install. Well, we're back here, waiting for the entire installation to get to complete. As you can see, we're almost done with it. We're gonna sit tight and let the installation complete. It's about a 5 or, depending on the processing speed of your computer, it might take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. And we're going to patiently await here for it to complete. Alright, almost there, it looks like. There you go. So much for that. Cool. So it looks like it completed the installation. Still running in the background. Now it's asking me to continue on with the server. I'll say yes. There's the other component. Now that it did the NetFrame installation, it's now concluding the SQL server. It's doing what it needs to do. And it's finished. So now we're going to go ahead and hit finish here to make certain that you are in fact running the server. You should have a new logo that looks like this one. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to launch the server, and it will show me my computer's IP address. Okay, you're not to do anything with it at this point. All it means is that the server's up and running successfully, and now that I've double clicked it and launched it, you're going to see down here, which I'm going to zoom into it, I want you to take a look at what the logo looks like on the, actually, that's what the logo looks like once it's running. So I'm going to minimize it again, and it ends up here. Excellent. So now we have installed the server. The server will communicate with the machine. It will find it on the network. Now I'm going to open up the same folder that I got the information, that where I have the software, and this time I'm going to install the client. If your server is not running, your client obviously is not going to run. But it's a little tricky because it defaults. The installation defaults to to install in Chinese language. So I'll show you how to get around that problem. So now I'm going to open from the two folders provided. I ran the single server. Now I'm going to do the client, double click client, and then I'm going to right click setup, and I'm going to run it as administrator. And this one installs a little bit faster than the server. As you can see, it moves along relatively quick. It's going to install the programs required. Okay, now that the client has been completed, you should have the next logo, which is where you're always going to operate from. You are going to here's your software that's going to run your client. I'm going to double click it because I am certain now that my server is running here. As you can see there, the EMB net server. I'm going to double click it, and it shows me a Chinese language. Everything's Chinese, as you can see. I'm going to click OK, and it will prompt me to enter my IP address, which is all this means is that it's going to use your local this computer as a server as well. So I'm going to click OK, and it runs the program now. It found the program, the database, and the database will find the machines, but it's still in Chinese. You are going to hit the second item here from the right, the second item on the menu, and then you're going to select the second item on the menu here as well, just like so. Actually, I'm going to zoom in so you could appreciate it better. It's still in Chinese. You're going to select the second item from the right, the second menu item, and then you're going to select the second item on that drop-down menu, and that will change it to English. You could appreciate this a little bit better, and you are ready to work. From this point on, you will be able to. These are samples of other embroidery machines that they installed, and as you can see, there's a number 1 in between there, a 1, a 2, and a 3, 4. I have not figured out how to remove them, but it will find your new embroidery machines will show up here as listed if you did everything correctly. Because this is my third computer where I'm setting this up, it does not show mine. I am going to disconnect it and reconnect it to my machines.